Hey there, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing another review while I make myself sneeze. But this review is not going to be from a movie like my How to Train Your Dragon video I did, or the Darkwing Duck episodes. This is actually going to be an episode from excuse me. Ooh. This is close to Darkwing because it's in the same world as Darkwing. This is an episode review of one of the episodes from the old DuckTales show. Now, let me know in the comments if you ever want me to review any of the episodes from the reboot. I like both the reboot and the old show. I honestly think the reboot's better, but I do like some of the characters better in the old show. Just a couple of them, but most of the characters and really everything else I like in the the reboot. But it's interesting that well, I don't think they really remade really the episodes necessarily, but I'm just gonna say it would have been nice if they had redone this one, or brought me one of the sorry oh sorry but ooh. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, it would have been nice if they had redone this episode, or at least, well, yeah, it would have been nice if they had redone this episode, but I'm kind of glad they didn't, because this episode in itself is really good. But it still would have been cool if they had redone it. But anyway, let me get into telling you what this episode's about. And again, if you want to see more videos where I review, episodes from the old DuckTales show or the reboot, or really whatever, just let me know. Okay, so, the episode begins when, Donald Duck's nephews and Scrooge's great-nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and they're going on a camping trip with Scrooge to find this, as the boys call it, the lost relish, but it's actually relics, not relish. That was funny how they, got the pronunciation wrong, or, how they call it relish instead of what it really is. But anyway, Scrooge finds out that the land that the relics is owned by this other company, and Scrooge wants to buy it so he can go on the land and look for the relics. And come to find out, it's actually owned by this really rich duck lady. And this duck lady is like a female version of Scrooge 2.0. Because Scrooge, even in the this old show, he's more about money in this show than he is in the reboot. But even in this old show, he clearly still cares about his family. But this lady, remember the 2.0 part? She's like Scrooge, but worse. Some of these come out excuse me. Oh my goodness. Some of these just come out in the craziest. When some of these come out, it's they come out crazy. Anyway, so he makes her an offer, and we actually don't hear what that offer is that he offers her, but she's so money hungry she doesn't accept it, And so yeah, she's not gonna let him buy the land. But she does want to come over and have dinner with him. And we quickly realize that, she just wants him for his money. And I feel like that is pretty obvious even before she even comes to dinner. Just judging by from what we see of her in just that 1 minute or a few seconds we see her. At least in my opinion, but I've seen this a couple times, so yeah. So anyway, she comes over to dinner, and yeah, she's definitely just wanting Scrooge for his money. She's very, very greedy, but it's really strange because she said that she's the wealthiest woman in their world, so I just don't really understand that. If she has a lot of money, then why? Ooh. I guess that just shows you what greed will do to you. But we already know that Scrooge is the wealthiest duck in their world, so he's obviously more wealthy than her, but still. And then later on, they start hanging out more. And it's really funny. Even their dates, it's all about money. Because when they're in the park together, Scrooge is reading the paper about the stock markets. They buy his and hers wallets, and it's like, oh my goodness. And it is funny that he never even took her out to a fancy restaurant, which was interesting. I mean, he doesn't need it since he has a big mansion, but still, it's kind of strange. Although he is a cheapskate himself, but he's a lot better than she is when it comes to money, and when it comes to like being money hungry and that kind of thing. Yeah. And then finally, the kids, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Webby overhear her saying that she's going to fire Scrooge's butler and Webby's grandmother, who's actually not her grandmother, which was revealed in the reboot, but she's going to fire them and send Webby to a finishing school and send the boys to a military school. Now, if they did redo this, I don't know if there's still like army camps for kids these days. I seriously don't think so. I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't know if that's even still a thing. I know finishing school can't still be a thing. So, I really wonder if they did put Millinera. Why can I pronounce this lady's name? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyway, if they did put her in the reboot, I do wonder how she would try and get rid of Scrooge's family. Plus, she'd have a lot more people to try and get rid of. I mean, Donald was in the DuckTales reboot a lot more, and if it was in later seasons, like sometime after Della returned, she'd have to deal with Della, and oh my goodness, the kids, oh my goodness. Webby alone could probably scare her off. She better be lucky that she faced them in the old show, in this show. As a matter of fact, once the kids overhear this, they decide to run away, and then Mrs. Beakley, Webby's air quotes grandmother, because she's not really her grandmother, catches them, and then they tell her what she said, and that she's going to fire her and Scrooge's butler. And then they decide that they need to put a stop to the wedding since Scrooge just won't listen to them when they've tried to warn him about this lady just being money hungry and wants him for his money. And she's going to send the rest of them away. And so, now this part here reminds me of The Parent Trap, where they're out in the the woods, out in the wild. And the boys play pranks on her, and finally she has enough. But unlike with the Parrot Trap, Scrooge and her go through with the wedding. But thankfully, Scrooge finally sees the light that she just wants him for his money. And to make things even more interesting, Scrooge's girlfriend Goldie shows up because the kids invited her, and in this version, Goldie has a gun and she starts shooting at Scrooge. I'm honestly kind of surprised if that aired. Something like that would not air these days. Plus, Goldie doesn't have a gun in the reboot, so it would have been interesting to see how she would have dealt with that if this episode had gotten remade in the reboot. And oh my goodness, I kind of wish it was, but I don't know how this lady would have been able to get rid of Webby and the kids, because the kids could take her now, especially Webby. She could just dealing with Webby alone would probably make her stay in the psycho ward for about 2 weeks. No, better make it 5. Oh my goodness, and with Mrs. Beakley now being a spy, oh my goodness, they could have so handled her in the reboot. And even without the action-packed stuff, I mean, things could have gotten pretty action-packed. It would have been really interesting to see how they handled her in the reboot, and what she would be like in the reboot. Would she be just as bad, maybe a little better, or worse, if that's possible? I seriously don't know. It would have been interesting to see. And like I said, she would have more people to deal with, because she would have, Donald and Della to deal with as well. But it's interesting. This episode never does mention what she would have done with Launchpad. It only talks about what she was planning on doing with the kids and Mrs. Beakley and Scrooge's butler. But Launchpad's never mentioned, even though he's in this episode. And he didn't even seem to like her either. So I really don't know what she would have done with him. But Launchpad ends up working with Darkwing anyway, but yeah. Oh my goodness. Just can't seem to sneeze now. I don't know what it is. Every time I do a review of something, towards the end it's harder to there we go. But honestly, it's not just with these videos. Just in general, after I've made myself sneeze a few times, it gets harder later on. So yeah, that's just what happens. No matter what kind of video I'm doing, really. That's just what happens. But anyway, so Scrooge thankfully does not end up marrying this lady. And yeah, but I can't help but think that it would have been really cool to see this in the reboot. I really wonder how they would have handled this lady and this sort of situation in the reboot. That would have been so cool. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of glad it didn't get remade, because I like this episode the way it is. In fact, it's my favorite episode in the series. And something interesting I found out about it is that it actually aired on January 1st, 1988. So it aired on the first day of 1988. So it was the very first episode of this show to air in the new year. And it's also funny because even though this was the first DuckTales episode to air for the new year, since it aired on January 1st, it's actually the last episode in season 1, at least according to Google. So yeah, that was something I found to be interesting. It was the first episode of the year, and it came out on the first day of the new year back then. but yet it was the last episode in season 1. It was the first and the last, technically, for different cases. And that's just something funny or something interesting I thought was funny about it. So yeah, yeah, I really do like this episode, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys again here soon.